Football is back, and what better way to bet on the big games than on Zen Sports, the new sportsbook in Tennessee that's bringing sports betting to a whole new level. When you sign up for Zen Sports, you'll automatically earn up to a $100 no-danger first wager. If your first bet loses, you'll be reimbursed for the amount of your bet up to $100. And for the football season, Zen Sports is launching a revamped betting platform for both college football and the NFL. And what's better? With our new look, Zen Sports will be offering daily promotions, including odds boosts, same-game parlays, no-danger wagers, and much more. Zen Sports also offers a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program, and if you qualify, you can earn monthly comps at sporting events, concerts, and even sportsbook bonuses. It's by invite only, so go to zensports.com/VIP for details. What are you waiting for, football fans? Start betting with Zen Sports, where you will receive true odds on all parlays and an enhanced user experience. Get going. Download their app at zensports.com today. Zen Sports betting just got better. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. No danger. First wager limited to plus 500 odds to qualify. Boosted odds are derived from equivalent parlay bets offered in Tennessee. Must be 21 or older in Tennessee to bet. Zen Sports.
So let's talk about the future for Tennessee here. NC State next week, and then you got a pretty daunting gauntlet here, a typical SEC schedule. Although we were kind of talking about this on the last Big Orange podcast this past Monday, potentially a schedule that comes in even a little more favorable than that 22 year, and you might have even more talent and potential in that 22 year. I don't know. Let's start there. What do you think about this schedule?
I like the setup of today, NC State, Kent State. I like those, obviously, in that order. Excuse me, I'll actually be at the Kent State game, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Nice.
So after I like 2 road games in a row, I'm good with that. But then we have that 4-game stretch at home in a 5-week period with a bye week. That's where, to me, that's going to be our make or break situation. Not the full 4 games, but we got Florida, Bama back to back. Like that is what, because I don't think we've ever had it that way, ever. You know what I'm saying? Because we normally have Florida early and then obviously third Saturday in October. So to me, one of my cats is trying to make an appearance. He was about to just come walk on the computer. But right. To me, that in between, without having a bye week between them, because the bye week is after Alabama, that moment is the quote-unquote trap to me. Because obviously, everybody's going to be up for a Florida game at Neyland. Everybody. But we have to the team instantly has to refocus and go, all right, now we got Bama at home in 7 days. We got to refocus and make sure we exert all of our energy against Florida to win that game. Then we got to do the same thing against Alabama. To me, that's the only part of the schedule that I think I find a little not scary, but a little out of the ordinary because we're not used to that. Like I said, they're normally separate. It's normally in September and October.
Well,
so that's going to be the hardest part, in my opinion, is that specific 7 days.
And if I'm remembering correctly, 22, didn't it go at LSU and then Alabama? Am I remembering that incorrectly? I think you did play that back-to-back gauntlet, which was –
Yeah, but think about it. Florida, LSU is different for us.
It's true.
You see what I'm getting at? That is a different – don't get me wrong. That is nothing against LSU because LSU is a damn good team.
You had Florida bye week at LSU, Alabama, and then UT Martin after that. But that's a little more of a gauntlet this year. That's true.
It is, and it's just the way I look at it. No, you're right though, because Florida, LSU, Bama, but there's bye week in between. It just, I don't know. That's that 2-game stretch is what, in my opinion, honestly, you go outside of that. I think the schedule is very favorable because 4 straight home games in a row in a 5-week period. That's favorable.
Nice. Yeah.
That is very favorable for a team. Like I don't know who we bargained with to get 4 in a row, but that's phenomenal.
It is. If you can get through Oklahoma undefeated, that game. I mean, as we already said, they got a dude at quarterback and a coach who's still ironing it out, and I would say it's a winnable opportunity if you can get through that game undefeated with all that momentum where you've beaten NC State, you've beaten Oklahoma, you win and you kind of slayed the dragon of Heupel's past there at Oklahoma. You're looking at some serious momentum, and who knows exactly what Florida's going to look like. They're playing right now against Miami. They were losing last time we looked. I don't know if that's still the case, but we'll see exactly how they look. There's an opportunity here to.
Oh no, there's a lot of potential to be going into the Florida week undefeated.
Yeah, and you would be.
There's a lot of Arkansas is no slouch, but there's a lot of potential to be going into Florida going, we got 4 straight at home, to be undefeated going, all right, we're in the thick of this. We're now fully in, not that we're not in it, but we are fully in the top 4 conversation if we're undefeated going to Florida.
Exactly. Like you would be springboarded into that, okay, Tennessee's a contender, like that sort of talk.
Yeah, like a contender to go, all right, if you don't win because you have to win your conference to get a bye, whatever. But at that point, we're in the conversation to go, even if we don't win the SEC, we're still getting that first round home game. Like that, that's the way that I look at it. Georgia obviously is Georgia at the moment. What they've won like 40 straight regular season games. I get it. We got them on the road. That's fine. I just don't think Clemson is as good as they have been in the past. So I take that game with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Kudos to Georgia for doing their thing. Whatever. You still got to win the game. Kudos to Georgia for a 31-point victory. I just don't think Clemson is a top 25 team. I don't. People may disagree with me, and that's okay. I don't see it. I really don't. I think they're a bold team. I think they're an 8-win, 9-win team in the ACC. But if you bring them to the SEC, and it's all hypothetical, blah blah blah, but it doesn't matter. You can legitimately look at comparables and how they play, not schedules and not this team beat this team. But look at how they play. They do not match up week for week with SEC teams. Vanderbilt went out there and just smashed Virginia Tech in the mouth today. Vandy.
Who saw that coming?
I mean, first off, kudos to Vandy. I'm serious when I say that. Kudos to Vandy. But they just smashed Virginia Tech in the mouth, and Virginia Tech, everybody was high on in the ACC. That tells you the difference in level of competition.
No doubt about it. I think there's potential for something truly special here, and a potential that things could fly off the rails. Let's see you lose next week. That's a bad omen. And so you got to be as focused as you can be. Oh, yeah. Clearly, as of right now, you definitely look like the superior team. I would bet that line is probably going to go up some.
Do you know what it's at?
Let's see if it's on.
I didn't know if they had already posted it since NC State's already played.
I had the ESPN app open. I don't know if they already got it on here. Tennessee 4.5 at the exact moment. That seems close.
I can see them going to 7 or 8.
Yes,
for better like betting purposes, I can see them getting to 7 or 8.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously we'll see, just because NC State looked a little shaky there against Western Carolina. But let's do start there before we get your full season prediction. Okay. Now that we've kind of analyzed the schedule a little bit, NC State in Charlotte. Hate these neutral site games, but it is what it is. You're in it, and so they looked iffy against Western Carolina. They were actually behind going into the fourth quarter against Western Carolina, but ultimately won by double digits. And you just beat the ever-loving snot out of Chattanooga. Nico looks very good. How are you feeling about the NC State game?
Oh, man, honestly, I'm actually very confident. Like I said, I think that game itself, it may be a little closer to begin with because it's in Charlotte and State's in Raleigh. But I can tell you this: we travel really well across the country, much less to Charlotte. You know what I mean? Like
there's going to be plenty of Tennessee fans.
There's going to be a lot of Tennessee fans there. It's going to be 4 times as loud as a Panthers game, obviously.
Not that that's hard to do, but
no, I was about to say just shot at the Panthers. Sorry, couldn't help it. But no, I am very confident in what we can do. I think it's back and forth early on because of emotions for NC State, trying to prove the doubters like myself wrong of last week. But then ultimately, I do think that we end up pulling away for a double-digit win late. I could almost see it being like today's Georgia-Clemson, really close going into half, and then the superior team just taking over. And obviously that superior team is us.
I think I agree with that overall. Obviously, you can see myself, Zach Reagan. We'll do a full breakdown of the game on Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern time on the A to Z Sports Nashville YouTube channel. And coming straight up, I guess I can say this: Zach and I, very very soon, we've got to get all the details and things in place. We should have our own YouTube channel for the podcast here. Very, nice. Very soon. I don't know exactly when it's going to be rolled out, but everybody look out for that. But I pretty much agree across the board on NC State. I think it's going to be a game that should be won by Tennessee. Things can go off the rails. You never know exactly what's going to happen. But if everybody stays healthy, everybody plays the way that they should, you're going to win that game 10, 14, 20 points. It should be a runaway by the end of it, and we'll see. Now, with that said, your full season prediction, Cromp, where again you
want me to go like game by game or just total like win losses?
Well, kind of what we did on our show was just overall record, and then you can mention like who the losses are and just some general comments like that. And again, Nostradamus in 2022, you called the special season for Heupel back then. Will you do it again here?
Well, side note, I'm kind of excited for the Kent State game. First game back. Me and my wife will be going. I'm going to try, keyword try. We'll see how the service works. I'm going to try to do the game from my cell phone at the stadium.
Hey.
That'll be fun.
I mean,
so
that will be an interesting experiment. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. We're still working out some kinks, but I think that would be fun to be able to do that.
Super fun. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And post game obviously should hopefully be like kind of like today where there's really nobody there because everybody was like, screw it, we left, we beat the piss out of them.
Hopefully.
But the halftime part I think would be really fun if we could do that. But yeah, no, honestly, I do truly think looking at the schedule, I really think barring injuries, barring like some catastrophic thing, whatever it may be, like last year with Brew, if we can avoid those, I'm thinking at the floor 10-2. I really do. Looking at the schedule. And I think that 4-game home stretch is favorable to help us because it keeps the travel down. You know what I mean? It keeps a lot of consistency with practice and how we prepare. You always love playing on the road. Do not get me wrong. But it is easier playing at home because your crowd is quieter for you than they are for our defense. You know what I'm saying? On the offensive side. So it is an easier environment. Not that, you still can't hear in Neyland because it's loud, but you know what I'm saying? Absolutely. I think that 4 games in a row, the travel, get on a bus, get on a plane, the constant, all right, we got to hurry walk through, make sure everything's packed, get on the bus, get to the airport, go through security, this, that it wears on you over time. We're human. Having 4 games in a row at home that's an advantage. So that's where I'm saying floor 10-2.
Did you ever play in a neutral site game as a starter? No. I'm interested, like kind of. Well,
they started that like really after I got out of college.
Yeah, that's more of a recent phenomenon. I hate it. Just play home and homes. It's so silly, but It's for the money. You get
it's all from. Let's go get this. It's all for money.
Yeah, and congratulations to everybody that's I forget who's the big sponsor, the one we're doing. You get the Chick-fil-A at the Georgia Dome, yada yada. But even that's a little bit different because you get a crowd that sometimes is a little split, and I don't know how that would be playing as a quarterback there, where it's kind of.
I think with two teams like we did with Virginia Tech and Bristol, how close both of us were, how close NC State and us are to Charlotte, I do think it'll be a loud environment regardless. So I don't think there's really going to be home field either way. I think it's just going to be loud.
Yeah.
Just in general. I think it's going to almost feel like both teams are playing a road game when that team's offense is on the field. That's just the way I look at it. Like, today, Clemson and Georgia. Well, they're both really close to Atlanta. That is a kind of a home game for both, depending on how many tickets are sold each way. Our fans travel well. We have a lot of Tennessee fans in the state of North Carolina, especially in the Charlotte area. So I don't see why we're not 50-50. I don't think there's an advantage either way, except for we're just a better team.
I guess I would expect probably like a 55-45 Tennessee there. In NC State, if you're playing North Carolina, maybe just because it's sort of they're a little bit more like
NC State's got a better following than North Carolina, man.
In football, that probably is true.
It is the truth. Like NC State is the best football followed school in North Carolina in college, like in the state. You know what I mean? Like just in North Carolina, but I still hate them. So, it is what it is. It goes back to the Chuck Amato days. So
I think it should still be majority Tennessee fans at the end of the day. Maybe it won't be. I mean, it is certainly closer to Raleigh, no doubt about that. But I think that Tennessee rolls in that one. 10-2 was my prediction also. Lance in the comments on Facebook, he says, what are your two losses? That was going to be my next question.
Well, and like I said, that's the 4. I'm predicting 11-1.
Oh, 11-1. So what's the one loss in your 11?
Honestly, Georgia after the 4-game home stretch.
That's going to be a brutal one.
Because here's the way I look at it. We go undefeated into Florida. We take care of business against Florida. At that point we beat Bama. If we struggle with Florida, next week's a little tougher. You know what I'm saying?
And you have the way that sets up. It's bye week, then it's Kentucky, and then Mississippi State, who in Neyland, and it should. I don't want to say that that's a bye game. Mississippi State is not going to be a pushover, but they're just in a tough spot. They're in a full blown rebuild there. After Mike Leach and that whole tragedy. And then you go to Georgia, and it's just beating this Georgia team. I mean, you watch them today, just dominant on the lines of scrimmage. And is Carson Beck like a world-beating QB? Probably not. But
no, but he's very efficient in what they do.
He does what they do well. And that's all that you have to do if you're a quarterback for that football team. It's frustrating to watch, but
my thing is he reminds me of he is Georgia's version of Daniel Jones.
Yeah. He does
or Daniel Jones in college. Let me say it that way. Daniel Jones in college, not the NFL. But I'm saying I think he you know what I mean? Because at Duke, everybody was like, "Oh my God, Daniel Jones, blah 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 blah," and then you go, "Oh, never mind." That's kind of what I think of him. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's a world beater. And I'm looking some up, and you'll see why, because we got Florida and then Bama. Bama's got South Carolina and then us. Well, South Carolina has Old Dominion today. Well, Old Dominion drove the ball down the field and scored right out of the gate.
Ooh.
Now it's 7-7, but I'm just saying, like, Alabama. Now, granted, Florida may be world beaters. Florida may come out here and be a 4-11 or 4-8 team. Who knows? That's a tougher game for us before Alabama than Alabama has before us. You know what I mean? Like I don't think South Carolina's
definitely. I'm just honestly, I'm just nervous because I think the opportunity this season. I said this on our last Big Orange podcast. This feels like it could be like 2015 with Butch Jones. And what I mean by that is in 2015, you had Florida beat, you had Oklahoma beat, you had Alabama beat, you had Arkansas beat. All of these teams, and 3 of those 4, didn't they end, or 2 of those 4 ended up in the playoff that season. And, you were inches away from being a playoff team that year, crazily, with Butch Jones. And that team was just kind of it had all the talent that you needed to get there, and it just had those moments where they just screwed it up. This team has the talent that you need to get to where you're going. Can they harness it?
Yes.
Can they put all the pieces together?
Well, you're 100% correct. But I would go with, I think our players now trust and believe in Heupel more than they did Butch Jones as a human,
for sure,
and as a coach.
Yes.
And as getting a staff around him. So I think that's the difference in those 2 teams. I really do. I think they like playing for him a lot. I think they believe in what he does and what he preaches and how he treats them. So I think that's the big difference. Even though that's a small thing, I think that's what sets this team apart than those teams in the past.
For sure. As somebody who covered those Butch Jones teams up close and personal, the vibe with Heupel is in a complete other stratosphere. Like just the way that the players respect him. It became at a certain point with Butch Jones where they were the players. It felt like we're kind of thinking, who is this clown? That's what is this guy doing? What and there is none of that with Heupel. So I'm just like I said, I'm on pins and needles about it. Where I'm like, oh, the potential, it's right there. You felt it. It's a feeling similar to what happened when the baseball team this year got to that national championship series, where you went. Now is the time. You have the ingredients. You have to hop on this opportunity. Now, of course, you're not that close to a national championship with this football team yet. But I think the potential is there to maybe reach an SEC championship game, to reach this playoff, to give yourself the opportunity to compete for a championship. So let's go out there and do it, I think.
No, like I said, I don't disagree. Trying to pull something up real quick. I do agree with this comment, though. It says Heupel is recruiting higher quality. Butch had good classes via quantity.
Yes.
Quality. And I 100% agree with that as far as like quality over quantity. I think that's a good statement. I really do.
Yeah, but Butch had those classes where he was getting kids with like gray shirts and adding all these dudes to these classes. And had a top 5 class with Khalil McKenzie and had some pretty serious recruiting going on. But ultimately he was just a sham coach. And
I'm going to do something that is just completely off the wall here.
Okay.
The way this team is now, completely different staffs with who I'm about to say, completely different with how they let the players be themselves, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Tell me, just listen to this schedule and tell me what you think, Charlie. Virginia Tech, Florida International, or neutral site Virginia Tech, Florida National, North Texas, Arkansas, at Kentucky, at Ole Miss, South Carolina, Tennessee, LSU, at Mississippi State, Chattanooga, at Auburn. It sounds pretty favorable, doesn't it?
That's not bad.
Yeah, that was the 09 Alabama schedule. That sounds very similar to ours. You have a neutral site ACC team. You got 2 mop-up games in the first 3, like we do, and then you get Arkansas or Oklahoma, Arkansas for us, Arkansas, Kentucky. Very similar in how they play. See what I'm like. I'm not saying, I'm not predicting we're going to the national championship. That's not what I'm getting at. I said completely off the wall here. But this team, in the sense of where we're at in the tenure of Heupel, is very similar to where they were at in the tenure of Saban at Alabama, where they started getting over that hump, and then they got a very favorable schedule, and then they did it. That's kind of what this team reminds me of. That year was the first year that he had the buku's amount of talent that he started really having depth. What did we talk about earlier in the show? We're starting to get where we can go, oh, you need a breather? You go. You need a breather? You go. That's kind of what this team's reminded me of. It's completely off the wall. Very random right there.
No, I think it's a great point. Because
if you look at the schedule, it's very similar. ACC neutral site, 2 mop-up games, right into 2 away games in the SEC. Now we got 4 home. They had 3 home. But it lines up to say, like you were talking about, this schedule is very favorable. We just now have to go do it.
And Heupel at this point, he has a very similar amount of wins through the number of games that he's coached. He has a very similar amount of wins to what Fulmer had. And in, 96, Fulmer goes to the SEC championship game. And, there's plenty of parallels there that you could make where now is the time to put the puzzle pieces together.
Exactly. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
The opportunities there.
We have a favorable schedule, like you said. Now it's just a matter of now you got to go do it. I mean, it's just bottom line. Now you got to go play.
Yes.
And that's what I think is exciting about it. I really do. I mean, I think we have the team that could do it.
Sorry, it was 90. I'm thinking about it now. It was 97 when we made the SEC championship game, wasn't it? With Peyton.
Yeah.
And then it was back to back 97, 98, 1 and 9. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
But I think we could do it. I really do. Just because the schedule now, I know don't we have like top 14 or something like toughest schedule or something like that? Well, you know what? We play in the SEC. It's going to be that way anyway. It's just, is it going to be a favorable SEC schedule versus an unfavorable SEC schedule? SEC schedule, regardless, is going to be hard.
It always will be. Well, and it all starts with NC State next week.